What's up, ADOS and our allies? You know who it is. Angela Nirvana, your hostess with the mostest on the Friends of ADOS TV channel. Angela Nirvana presents The Way I See It. Follow in, follow in, follow in. Good evening on the West Coast. Good evening in the Central. Good evening on the East Coast. Thank you so much, family, for joining the live. We got a great topic we're going to dig in today. We're going to actually talk about Biden's plan, what he intends to give the ADOS in exchange for our vote in his Lift Every Voice but ADOS plan. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what he's offering the immigrants. We're going to talk about Kamala and what she was offering when she was running for president, much of which Biden has kind of concurred with in terms of what he will support once he gets into office. We're going to talk about what she's offering immigrants. We're going to talk about the population a little bit and how we're virtually being replaced by immigrants. It's already happening. Hispanics already outnumber us. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about why their plans for ADOS is so lame, because they're literally pandering to the Republicans. You know how at the Democratic National Convention they had more Republicans speaking than their huge progressive base. You know, the ones that represented for Bernie Sanders and helped him to achieve 3 successful wins in 3 states straight before Biden went to the Carolinas with the help of Jim Clyburn and the boomers. I'm sure the Gen Xers and some millennials down the South who came out and supported Biden. And then Obama got involved and told all the other moderate neoliberal conservatives to fall on their sword and make space for Biden. Yeah, we're going to talk about how they're now pandering and taking money from Republicans. I told y'all for the longest that the Democrats are really Republican in Democratic clothing, and that's what they're proving to be. Working for the billionaire class and not giving a hoot about what's happening to ADOS in particular. All the other groups are just coming to this country and getting all kind of access to affirmative action and things that were put in place to make us whole post-slavery. And we're being replaced by the Democrats with Republicans, with immigrants, and they're really working feverishly to replace us here because so many of us have awakened to the identity politics that happened on Obama's watch, that we're not falling in that trick bag anymore. And so now they need to come up with new tricks, push Biden to the top, give us Kamala, whom we already said loud and clear when we did not support her on the campaign trail when she was running for president. We made it clear that we didn't want her. And so they put her back in the box to preserve her reputation after the ADOS movement and Tulsi Gabbard gave her that smoke. We gave it mostly in the social media spaces. But don't you think for 2 seconds that they're not watching everything we do in social media. Today, I was trying to set up a fundraiser for Jacob Blake. God bless him. Ooh, God is really working and moving in that brother. I want you guys to lean in on your prayers for him so that he can circumvent permanent paralysis from the 7 shots that were fired on him to the back by the racist pig cops, right? In Kenosha. I want you guys to lean in on your prayers. I cannot believe it is nothing but an act of God, a total miracle that he is still alive. And so I was trying to set up a fundraiser. You know how they let you create your own. And my fundraiser is definitely for Mr. Blake, his 6 children, 3 of which were traumatized in the backseat of that car when they had to sit through their father being fired on by the racist pig cops, 7 shots to the back. So I chose that as my fundraiser because he's going to need it. He's going to need so much medical care and attention just to be restored back to who he was prior to being diabolically shot at by the race soldiers. And Facebook shut me down and told me, I guess I've been in Facebook jail too much. They've not been pleased with the content I've been posting, like a punishment, like you would punish a child. So I had to create my own. I photoshopped the nonsense Facebook was sharing about why I could not, create a fundraiser for my birthday. My birthday is a week from today. And so you know how they solicit you to create fundraisers. Well, that's who I decided I want to raise money for, him and his family. I think that fund is now at $1 million. And I've contributed to the fund, but I wanted to raise money on him and his children's behalf to help with legal fees, to help with his medical bills. This brother, I don't know what kind of career he had, but we already know that ADOS is on the bottom. So if it's anything like what it is out here in LA, one of the most expensive states in the country to live, he's not really earning that much if he's working at all. And the man has 6 children. So I wanted to raise money to help him with the medical, to help him with his legal, to help him with his physical therapy so his walking can be restored, to help his 3 young boys that were in the back of that car and saw that atrocity under this government-sanctioned execution. I know that they're going to need tons of therapy from having bore witness to that. And Facebook shut me down. Speaking of which, while I'm on it, you guys need to definitely sign up on my YouTube channel because Facebook puts me in jail often for spreading the truth. Folks want to call me a hater. What in the world do I have to hate on anyone? If anyone knows me, I don't hate. I'm a very proud ADOS woman who is educated, and God has blessed me with a beautiful home, 20-minute walk to the beach down here in Southern California, beautiful convertible car. It's in the shop right now because someone cut through the rooftop to steal Christmas gifts out the back. But anywho, I'm richly blessed. I have a gorgeous daughter who's in impeccable health. I have a ton of friends and family, not just here, but all over the country and all over the world. So for folks to come in my feed and clown me about being jealous of Kamala, why would I have any jealousy of someone who fakes ADOSness to get your vote while doing nothing for you is a mystery to me why I would be jealous of that. I've been called a right-wing Trump supporter. I have a huge disdain for Trump in the same way that many of you do. I'm not trying to help him win the election, but what I am trying to break the cycle of is this 55 to 60 year, a lesser two evil, two-step all the way to our own peril dance. Now, I'm trying to break that by demanding tangibles and a black agenda in exchange for our vote. But that's not popular. Folks want you to just shut up and not talk about how this Democratic Party is not offering us anything because they're fully invested in opening up the floodgates to more immigrants so that they can deny us the reparations they owe us. And I'm going to share with you momentarily after I greet my online audience about how it's baked in their nothing burgers that they're serving up to ADOS under the guise of doing something for us to pander for your vote. What's up, Only Me 33? He lists my voice to say Trump, Trump, Trump. Okay, that's fine. I'm not voting for Trump. I'm not voting for the Democrats. I'm going to try not to call them Demorats. But I am absolutely going to be voting Green Party top of the ticket because they're offering reparations over there. And they have an ADOS running as vice president. Angela Walker is one of us, truck driver and single mother. So I would highly suggest you go to gp.org and check them out because their platform is so humane. It just makes me giddy. Jay Small, what's up? Northbound 55 from Louisiana to Chicago. I'm not really understanding what that means, but welcome to the live. The Blackboard, welcome to the live. And for all of you that haven't signed in to the chat, welcome to the live. Remember to chat your questions or comments, and I will revisit them as I move closer to the end of the show. So let's dig into it. We're at 6:15. I got 45 minutes or less to get this done. So I want to talk about first the popular on what we're up against in terms of mattering to this country that our ancestors built with their lives. All of the wealth that everyone eats from the table of, we are the legs. I need you to understand that. For those of you who are new to ADOS, the movement, and our politics, we deal in data, we read, and then we share, okay? We're highly educated, many of us. I mean, we have people from all walks of life that are in this movement all throughout the country. But for the most part, the people that do the heavy lifting, they're educated and are professionals. And we are fighting for the voiceless, okay? And fighting for the wealth of our children, because although we realize we have jobs and income, I don't know how many of us have jobs and income since COVID. I mean, of the 40 million layoffs, I think our numbers are at 20% of that. Okay, so do the math. That's a huge number. That's a huge number for ADOS to have been laid off due to COVID. Of course, we're dying disproportionately from the COVID, and we have the highest number of cases. We're being redlined into environmentally hazardous communities, or when the whites want to take it over, we're being gentrified out and can't afford the taxes. They find ways to get us out of there. The homeless families in the country, half of them are ADOS. Even down here in LA, 44% of the 6% of us left. We've decreased from 16% to 6%, while the other groups just keep growing. 44% of us are degreed, and yet we're $200 liquid, okay? And 90% on Skid Row. So we're in a really dire strait, which is why class-based policies don't fix race. You're going to hear me defer to that often as I read through Kamala and Joe's plans for Blacks in this country, and the way they flatten it, akin to affirmative action, how it due in large part benefits white women first, immigrants second, and LGBTQ. We're like flat on the bottom. If there's anything left, we get those crumbs, even though the affirmative action was put in place to make us whole post-slavery. But out here in this country, white Americans, this is including white Hispanics, okay? So this is why the numbers, it's hard because Hispanics also claim Hispanic heritage, and now they're claiming to be white. Because the color of white in this country is green, and because white people aren't procreating in the numbers they once did, they're having fertility issues. Now they're willing to make Hispanics white so that they can keep their numbers large, so that they can be entitled and get most of those entitlements for their group. So white Americans, which include white Hispanics, constitute the historical and current majority of the people living in the United States, with 72% of the population identifying as white in the 2010 United States Census. Non-Hispanics totaled about 197,181,177, or 60.4% of the U.S. population. Let me repeat that. Non-Hispanic whites total about 197,181,177, or 60.4% of the U.S. population. So these are the people that voted Trump in to the White House the last election cycle, and They are wanting us to use our only commodity, our vote, to unseat Trump. Not my monkey, not my circus. And for those in my feed that constantly say, well, why don't you talk about Trump? Why don't you disparage the Republicans? Well, the truth of the matter is we as ADOS have been loyalists to the Democratic Party. Despite that lesser two evil two-step shuffle has tethered us to the bottom caste in this country that our ancestors built with their lives. White folks share $100 trillion to ADOS $700 billion or less by now, with 20% of us having lost employment during this COVID crisis. I really don't know how much we share amongst us now. It's significantly less, I know that much. And so there's no need for me to talk about the Republicans or Trump because I don't vote that way. I've never voted for a Republican and don't ever intend to. Personally, they'd have to come with a deposit into my checking account for me to believe they're on reparations. I need that $1 million ran through my account before I cast my vote. That's how I don't trust Republicans with our reparations, okay? So the U.S. Black is 13.4% of the population. And what percent of America is Hispanic? 16.7%. Hispanics accounted for 16.7% of the national population, or around 52 million people. 52 million Hispanics to ADOS, 35 million? This is what we're up against, family. This is why you see Trump, the Republicans, and the Supreme Court, passing DACA and guaranteeing them a pathway to citizenship over securing our reparations for us. Their whole goal is to make us the permanent underclass in the country our ancestors built with their lives. And far too many of ADOS, not the movement, but because the movement is woke, we look at the numbers and we see what the plan is for us. And how empty these plans are is because both the Democrats and the Republicans are pivoting and fighting over this $52 million Hispanics. Now, if they allow the Democrats to win, know that they're going to open up the floodgates for millions more Hispanic, at least 10 million more, to have a pathway to citizenship, using our affirmative action to make them whole. You've got to understand what you're going to sign up for if you continue this lesser of two evils, two-step shuffle to our own peril. This is what the Democrats are doing and why you don't hear them fulfilling any of our demands. Okay, and we're going to get into that right now. They're looking to replace us with immigrants. And so don't act like you didn't know when you run out here and cast your vote. Prayerfully, it will fail epically because there are a lot of progressives that are very upset that there's nothing in it for them either. They don't have to give anything to them when the corporations in Wall Street have pretty much, bought off the Democratic Party. They can continue to open up the floodgates to the Hispanics to continue to suppress wages and to discriminate against us in the job force. I've already gone through the numbers in Unflattening Blackness. If you go back to my archives, you will see those shows and you will see how Hispanics are coming up as we are going down. You better have your eyes wide open this election cycle. Our goal in the ADOS movement is, if Trump wins, deliver a Democratic Congress and gridlock government for the next 4 years while we continue to push for reparations, because we're not going to make it without it. So let's go to Biden and read what he has offered to ADOS. Okay, the Black community, create wealth in the Black community, he says. Through his policies from education to housing, Joe will ensure that Black families can build and sustain wealth for themselves and their communities. Because home ownership is key to building wealth, he will ensure first-time home buyers are able to get $15,000 in federal down payment assistance. He will invest over $70 billion in HBCUs and other MSIs. And on top of that, provide loan forgiveness that works for public servants. And Joe will double funding for the state small business credit initiative to $3 billion to assist small business, especially those owned by people of color. So let me show you in this Create Wealth in the Black Community what's so problematic about what he's offering. Okay. First, $15,000 in federal down payment assistance. What's that going to do when we don't have salaries by and large? Few exceptions. I consider myself and many of the people in the ADOS movement are exceptions. We are now unicorns amongst the ADOS, okay? We are professionals. We're educated. We have small businesses. I've gone to, I'm in the process of getting my real estate license, my life insurance license. I still have my work in the courts, creating television shows for the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, just working to become my own economy so that I'm not at the behest of the racism in the private sector that, is abominable out here. I've shared on previous shows that in the private sector, ADOS is 6%, well, blacks, because they lump all of us together out here. We're 6%, that's ADOS, Caribbean, and African lumped together. So we're 6% also of the private sector to Kamala'S people, Asian Indians, whom she's offered H-1B visas to give them a pathway to get here from India for tech jobs. That's what she's offering her people, and Joe Biden is in support of that. Down here, they're 35% or higher of the private sector. I have to revisit those numbers to be certain. But it is atrocious how the racism is spilled over into the private corporations. So you've got to really work on your own businesses during COVID, family, so you can become your own economy. So giving us $15,000 in federal down payment assistance, what is that going to matter when down here in the hood, the salaries have to be $85,000 to qualify for home loans in Los Angeles? If we're $200 liquid with a median income of $53,500, we're already locked out of access. So this is a nothing burger to give $15,000 in federal down payment assistance for people who are bottom caste. You're just talking out the side of your neck. He will invest over $70 billion in HBCUs. We're not at the HBCUs. Not a $200 liquid in Los Angeles, $8 liquid in Boston, $11 liquid in Miami. So you're giving $70 billion to Black immigrants or other immigrants that attend the HBCUs now because we can't afford to attend these HBCUs. So they're getting $70 billion to bring in more immigrant professors and to bring in more immigrant students and to help the ones that are there. That doesn't benefit us when only 16% of us in the nation have college degrees. Can't afford to go to college because most of the kids are graduating with college debt and can't find jobs and salaries commensurate with the debt that they consume. So that's a nothing burger to give $70 billion to the HBCUs. I want you to look at the parallel between what we're demanding in the form of reparations and the trillions over multi-generations and their do-nothing burgers over here that they're continuing to offer up to pander for your vote. So you got to read between the lines and you got to know the data. And you got to be well read and you've got to become political, family. You can't just go out here and because Kamala looks like us, want to run to the polls to vote for her. You have to understand when you are being locked out of access to the Capitol that your ancestors built all the wealth in this country through the most heinous chattel slave labor in the born world. And you're being locked out and replaced. Moving on. I may only get through Biden today. We're running close. Oh, my God. And we'll revisit Kamala tomorrow because the chapters, well, let me just think that through because tomorrow's a book club, okay? Anywho, he will invest over, okay, we did that part. And Joe will double funding for the state small business credit initiative to $3 billion to assist small business, especially those owned by people of color. This is why we're fighting for our own identity as American descendants of chattel slavery. People of color is everybody. So you're going to infuse $3 billion to assist small businesses when, down here in LA, I think we own 3% of the businesses. And once again, COVID has wiped out 45% of Black-owned businesses, never to return. So you offering $3 billion to assist small businesses can't mean us. Even African immigrants down here own 6% of businesses. Their median income is $115,000 to our $53,500. Okay? So I'm not impressed. Invest in our communities through housing. Joe has fought for housing equity throughout his career and believes housing should be a right. He will build new and repair existing affordable housing and draw housing and community development capital to low-income communities. He will end redlining and other discriminatory and unfair practices in the housing market, and he will protect tenants from eviction. Joe will expand funding for shelters and other homelessness programs. Now, this is problematic, family. You're going to expand funding for shelters and other homelessness programs. I told you down here, 90% of the people on Skid Row are ADOS. We have already passed state initiatives down here to pour more money into housing for the homeless. Nowhere in here does he talk about, affirmative action for Blacks, affirmative action for ADOS to increase our numbers in the private sector. How's that going to work? How in the world, once again, are you going to handle gentrification? You said nothing about that. And unlike the immigrants, you've said nothing about what you're going to do in your first 100 days in this nothing burger, in this lift every voice but ADOS plan. Affordable housing. I told you to qualify for affordable housing in LA, you have to make a median income of $85,000. How do you intend to do that when our median incomes down here are $53,500? Protect and build on Obamacare. Joe believes that every American should have access to affordable and quality health care. 3 million uninsured, non-elderly Black Americans gained coverage under Obamacare by the time President Obama and VP Biden left office. He will give Americans a new choice to purchase a public health insurance option like Medicare. He will automatically enroll individuals in the public option without a premium who would be eligible for Medicaid, but for their state's unwillingness to take up the Obamacare. Medicaid expansion. He will stand up to abuse of power by prescription drug corporations, and he will reduce our nation's unacceptably high maternal mortality rate, which disproportionately affects Black women. He will double America's investment in community health centers and ensure enforcement of mental health parity laws and expand funding for mental health services. And he will make an unprecedented investment in research to find cures for diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes. Okay, well, what I have found is that, I guess due to the lack of support around Obamacare, out here with a median income of $53,500, that's about $800 a month for an individual plan. So you're talking about giving a public option and Medicaid. What's the caliber of those doctors? What's the caliber of the care? How qualified is that care for ADOS? And how in the world are you taking money from pharma, big pharma? Okay, how do you take money from big pharma and then cut their prices? That's an oxymoron. Fluff, fluff, and more fluff. Invest in our students and educators. Joe will triple Title I funding, which goes to schools with a high percentage of low-income students. I'm sorry. These funds must first be used to ensure teachers are paid competitively. 3- and 4-year-olds have access to preschool, and districts offer rigorous coursework at all their schools. Joe will double the number of mental health professionals in schools, build the best, most innovative schools in the country in Black communities, other communities of color, and low-income communities, and expand the community school model. He will fund improvements to our public school buildings so they are free from environmental contaminants and equipped with the newest technology. And he will invest in innovative approaches to recruiting teachers of color and reinstate the Obama-Biden actions to diversify schools. When? When will you do this? No mention of when. Is this going to happen in your first 100 days? We don't know. Very vague and ambiguous. Sounds progressive, but once again, class-based policies don't fix race. It's not that I want other children to do without. I'm telling you, the tide will lift most of the boats, and we're still tethered on the bottom. If you don't demand reparations in the Black agenda. And they're doing everything to make everyone whole with our reparations. Look at the COVID relief. It has stimulated Wall Street and the stock market and the billionaires and the trillions. ADOS has lost about 45% of their businesses, never to return. They were barely hanging on in the first place. Support education beyond high school. Joe will provide 2 years of community college or other high-quality training program without debt for any hardworking individual. He will help tackle barriers such as childcare and transportation costs that prevent students from completing their community college degree or training credential. He will also make a $50 billion investment in workforce training, and he will create a Title I for post-secondary education to help students at under-resourced 4-year schools complete their degrees. Joe will rectify the funding disparities faced by HBCUs and other minority-serving institutions by investing over $70 billion in them to lower students' costs, establish research centers, strengthen graduate programs, build high-tech labs, and more. If you're not dealing with the fundamental issues of a primary education, and you've got preschool to prison pipeline happening in the ADOS communities, how does any of this help? You're not dealing with the biggest ways we're locked out of access. I just share with you how down here, only 6% of Blacks are working in the private sector. Everyone else is double, triple, quadruple that down here in LA. And as California goes, so does the nation. So how in the world do our children get to benefit from this when you still have private prisons? You know, that's a big part of our problem with Kamala. When the governor told her to let the nonviolent offenders free because the jails were overcrowded, she said, no, I need them to put out the fires of the white homes in the hills for $2 an hour. Nothing in his plan to make us whole in terms of equality in employment. With not just $15 an hour, who can live off of that? Maybe some people in the South, but in the major city states, nobody can live off of $15 an hour. You're going to need a few of those jobs to make it. Where's the real solutions here for ADOS? You see, you've got to fix race before you work on class. We're long overdue, 401 years in this and counting. And you're offering plans that are including immigrants and other people without dealing with that debt that is owed for slavery, Jim Crow, and accrued ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. Obama is not our reparations, neither is Kamala. Okay? Not our reparations. Invest in a clean energy revolution, environmental justice. We cannot turn a blind eye to the way in which environmental burdens and benefits have been and will continue to be distributed unevenly along racial and socioeconomic lines. Joe will invest $1.7 trillion over the next 10 years in a clean energy revolution, creating 10 million good-paying jobs. He will stand up to the abuse of power by polluters who disproportionately harm Black communities and hold those polluters accountable. As president, Joe will reinstate federal protections rolled back by the Trump administration that were designed to protect these communities. Where are the job guarantees for ADOS specifically? Where are the job guarantees? It's great that you're going to create 10 million good paying jobs, but not great if ADOS is not predominant in those jobs. You got to read between the lines. Make a transformational investment in our community's infrastructure. It's going to invest $1 trillion over 10 years to rebuild our roads, bridges, railway, freight, and ports. He will boost federal investments in low-income neighborhoods, which bear the brunt of our nation's decaying infrastructure, to ensure that every American has access to clean drinking water. Hello, Flint. Transportation that connects them to jobs, high-speed broadband, safe schools, and affordable housing. To tackle poverty, he will support applying Congressman James Clyburn's 10-20-30 formula to all federal programs, which would allocate 10% of funding to counties where 20% or more of the population has been living below the poverty line for the last 30 years. Isn't this the nonsense Bernie Sanders tried to pull over on us? 10%, while the Appalachians get 30%, and I forget the group that gets to 20%, but they're talking about ADOS 10% of whatever this is. It's hard to even understand what this is. But this is what he's picked up from Bernie Sanders. Overpaying our reparations in the trillions over multi-generations. Strengthen the right to vote. Joe will strengthen our democracy by guaranteeing that every American's vote is protected. He will start by restoring the Voting Rights Act and then ensuring the Justice Department challenges state laws suppressing the right to vote. He will support automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration, and other steps to make exercising one's right to vote easier. He will support an end to gerrymandering and will protect our voting booths and voter rolls from foreign powers that seek to undermine our democracy and interfere in our elections. What difference does it make? We still have superdelegates that can vote in opposition to the constituents. We still got the Electoral College. I get that we need the Voting Rights Act, but I'm really like, you're working for the billionaire class. Corporate owns you. Strengthen America's commitment to justice, says the author of the '94 crime bill. Our criminal justice system cannot be just unless we root out the racial, gender, and income-based disparities in the system. Joe will create a $20 billion competitive grant program to spur states to focus on prevention and reduce incarcerated populations, inspired by a Brennan Center proposal. He will expand and use the power of the Justice Department under authority created by legislation he authored to address systemic misconduct in police departments and prosecutors' offices. Joe will also invest in public defenders' offices, eliminate the death penalty and mandatory minimums, and end the federal crack and powder cocaine disparity. You know that was in place to protect his son who used cocaine. He did that. Now he wants to undo it. Really, people? Or is this just pandering for the vote? I hate to be cynical, but unless you're talking about decimating qualified immunity, and there's one other thing that I had in my mind as I was reading this. It'll come back to me. Let me keep reading. Unless you're talking about destroying qualified immunity to give these race soldiers, the right to execute us without thinking. And that's the thought I had. And unless you get rid of private prisons, what is all this but fluff? The state is paid, thanks to Biden, $25,000 a bed. So they fill it up with nonviolent offenders, ADOS. Close to 1 million black men imprisoned in this country, more than all the women imprisoned throughout the world. I can't even get excited about this. He will decriminalize the use of cannabis and automatically expunge all cannabis use convictions in incarceration for drug use alone and expand effective alternatives to detention. Yeah, this should have happened already under Obama. I don't get how the states are able to turn a profit on cannabis, locking us out of those businesses while placing those businesses in our communities. And we still have men on lockdown for running weed because, once again, it's tied to the lack of jobs in their communities. Lack of loans for businesses. No audits on the banks to lend to us after using our tax dollars to bail out Wall Street and the corporations. They're still doing time. He will end cash bail in private prisons. Really? When? Joe will invest $1 billion per year in juvenile justice reform. He will also set a goal of ensuring 100% of formerly incarcerated individuals have housing upon reentry and expand access to mental health and substance use disorder treatment, as well as educational opportunities and job training and after incarceration. Really? Sounds good. Doesn't say when. In violence against women, Joe will build on the landmark Violence Against Women Act, which he wrote and championed, by expanding the safety net for survivors and changing the culture that enables sexual violence. He will support the diverse needs of survivors of violence against women by expanding grants for culturally specific services, making existing federal programs for victims more responsive to the unique needs of different communities, investing in the well-being of adolescent girls of color, strengthening investment in alternative justice approaches, and combating the epidemic of violence against transgender women of color. Sounds great, in part. I don't believe it. Why don't I believe it? I've never heard him speak like this before running for the highest office in the country. Never seen him be in support of this. A lot of this stuff is straight from Bernie Sanders. I feel it's pandering for our vote. We need reparations to close the egregious racial wealth gap. So Joe Biden releases, this is 8/25, he released 2 immigration-focused plans. Let me read that to you, and before I come back over to do comments. Oh my God, we're at 6:49. Lord have mercy. Joe Biden releases 2 immigration-focused plans, and former VP Joe Biden released 2 new immigration-focused policy plans on Wednesday, the first highlighting and building upon the work he did in former President Barack Obama's administration to help curb migration from Central America, and the second proposing immediate ways to undo President Donald Trump's policies. Biden's 2 plans come after the campaign has tried to increase its outreach to Hispanic communities in recent weeks, like launching Todos con Biden. However, the campaign has had to overcome activists protesting his role in standing alongside Obama-era policy to deport 3 million undocumented immigrants and pitching more moderate immigration policies than some of his opponents. The 2 plans include a first 100 days component. I don't hear nothing like that for us in the first 100 days, in which Biden will undo what senior campaign advisors describe as horrific and cruel and senseless policies enacted by President Trump, like the separation of parents and children at the border. He would also end for-profit detention centers. The immigration, that's very humane. I'd like to see that happen. Being pro-ADOS is not anti-immigration, and it's not pro-Trump. It's just ADOS first for a change. That's what I'm on. That's my square. That's where I stand. Because I don't see any other groups fighting for the survival of, not just the survival, for the thriving of the ADOS, whose ancestors built all the wealth they benefit from with their lives. I don't see or hear from these other groups helping us. So I've got to be self-interested, and it would behoove the rest of you who are ADOS to be self-interested so that we can pull together and have our vote count this election cycle. Once again, once the Democrats get in, they're going to open up the floodgates to more immigration. Kamala's going to get her H-1B visas to help more of her Brahmin caste Indian people to come to this country and give them a pathway to citizenship. And there'll be more Hispanic immigrants to widen the divide. Everybody gets a pathway to citizenship while we've been here for 401 years before America was even formed, and we have yet to be American. Because of all of what they stole or burned down or lynched us for. Still murdering us under government sanction. The immigration plan promises to reform the asylum system, surge humanitarian resources to the border, end Trump's Muslim ban, and review temporary protected status for those who have fled a violent country. It would also end the Trump-declared national emergency being used to redirect federal dollars to build the border wall. Biden also pledges to reinstate the DACA program, which would immediately protect and expand opportunities for dreamers, or adults who migrated to the U.S. as young children. He will also search for all legal options to protect their parents, a move activists have previously blamed him and Obama for initially causing family separation. Last week on the campaign trail, Biden said he would look to revive the DAPA program, even though it was struck down by the court. However, it would require legislation to pave a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented people living in the United States. That puts them at 63 million to our 35 million. However, after the first 100 days, the Biden administration would spend his first year in office trying to tackle 4 pillars. Legislative immigration reform, strengthen communities, steps to secure the border in a sensible manner, and focus on the cause of migration in Central America. Notably, Biden's plan breaks with some of his Democratic opponents who have called for restructuring, if not abolishing, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE. Biden instead calls for increased training and oversight of ICE and Customs and Border Protection. Biden often touts his ability to curb the swell of immigration from Central America after striking a deal between El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras, also known as the Northern Triangle, by providing economic resources to strengthen their judicial systems and combat violence. His new plan would redirect spending for the Department of Human Services budget, currently used on detaining asylum seekers, and commit $4 billion over 4 years on a Central American regional strategy. You hear how more aggressive that is for the immigrants? Over American descendants of chattel slavery? Put timelines in that. No timelines on our stuff. So let me come back over and see what you guys are saying before I close the show out. Oh, God. I'm going back up, guys, so I can give you love and read your comments. This is what y'all want to vote for, huh? Oh, he's driving, Jay Small. What's up, Monica? Thank you for joining the live. Hello, hello. Hey, girl. Blackboard says, you are my sister from another mister. Been trying to wake us up for 30 years or more. Better than never. Yes, darling. Better than never. The ADOS is here. Just FYI, Hispanics have always been white, only minorities since the 80s. Wow. Looky, look. Tracy Davis Hinton, thank you for joining the live. Sis, every night of the Dem convention, you were roasting that sister all night. Now we're having the Republican convention and you're still roasting Dems. Where are the comments on the Trump crew? Darling, I don't vote for Republicans. I don't love. I know you guys want me to disparage the Republicans. It's a total waste of energy because they never give us anything. I don't expect anything from them. We have voted 55, 60 years for the Democrats. And I'm talking about how we need to gridlock government so we can get real tangibles by 2022, 2022, 24. As long as you guys are willing to do the two-step lesser two evil shuffle to your own peril, that's exactly what you're going to get. ADOS is $200 liquid down here in LA to Kamala'S people. $245,000 liquid. To ADOS Boston, $8 liquid. To ADOS Miami, $11 liquid. I'm telling you, I don't have time to be on Republicans when the majority of ADOS vote Democrats. And I don't even have time to get to Kamala's plan for us. This was what she was running on. We'll do hers another day. I'll schedule that one. Maybe on Saturday. I'll have to see. But I'm telling you, I don't have time for the for a party that I never vote for. We vote majority Democrats. We don't vote for Republicans. I'm sure there are other shows dragging the Republicans. That's not my show. I'm on the Democrats and what they are failing to do to make us American while giving other folks, other immigrants, access to American citizenship. My daughter is ADOS. I'm ADOS. The majority of people in this feed are ADOS. That's who I'm fighting for, ADOS. I don't apologize for that. And the Democrats owe us. I don't think the Republicans will ever give us reparations. Why would I bother with a party who I already know is not going to do anything for me? That doesn't make sense. What's up, Teresa Moses? Hey, Angela. True. Be safe. Well, all of us in the movement are risking our lives to speak up for ADOS. You know, that's something you have to reconcile, when you decide to take up this movement. Many of us are smart, though. We're not loud like I am, but somebody's got to ring the alarm. I have the gift of gab. I was born to talk, so I just listen to where God led me. God has led me in this ADOS movement to fight for the reparations we are long overdue. I tried to avoid it for as long as I could. I tried to just be a credit to my race so that racism came from me down here. Okay. What's up, Hassan? The Black Collect, Ida B. Wells 2.0 is live. Oh, thank you so much, fam. I received that as a huge compliment. Textwell the Wiz. Hey. Hello, Sister Angela. Hi. Hi, boo. Jewel Dropper, Electoral College built on our back. Come on now. That's a show, Jewel. That's a show. That's exactly what happened. I need to write that down. I will, yeah. Jewel, could you please put that in? I got to keep the show moving because I'm at 55 minutes. I'm trying to get us out in an hour. Could you please send me that over into my... Can you please messenger me this title, Electoral College Built on Our Back? That's a show I want to explore with y'all. That wave guy. So you against it? You need to be more specific when you in the chat, family. Against what? I don't know specifically what you're talking about. I can answer you that wave guy. Thank you for joining the live. Or for it. Don't vote, obviously. What? Wait. The ADOS movement is not encouraging anyone not to vote. We need everybody to vote. What we're not voting for is symbolism. We're not voting for a Biden plan that doesn't commit to us within 100 days and how, as detailed as he does for the immigrants. We're not voting for the author of the 94 crime bill and Cali's top cop who are looking to make immigrants whole and give them a pathway to citizenship over ADOS. Now, I am voting Green Party top a ticket and Democrat down ballot. Okay? I am done. I was done last election cycle. Personally, I voted for the Green Party last election cycle. So I've been done with the lesser of two evil, two-step shuffle to our own peril. I'm done with that. And the ADOS is trying to wake up enough people so all of us can be collectively done with it. So our goal is to gridlock the whole entire government. If Trump wins and we deliver a Democratic Congress, nothing can get done. Let them hug it out until they come to their senses and give us the reparations we are owed. Okay, what a joke. Does it make a difference? I'm trying to read the comments that I understand. It's already been undone. Free them all. May God help us. Obama could only do so much, though. I feel your pain, but we got to stay strong for the young ones. We don't serve our young people by continuing to teach them to be cowards. You have to understand that if the Democrats win, ADOS will be the only one suffering, as we've been suffering for 401 years in this country. The rest of you will be lulled back to sleep because you're making double what we earn in terms of media income. I already shared with you, we have no liquidity. We have really the lowest. We're on the bottom in every category. If the Democrats win, we'll be the only ones in pain. And this is a time when misery loves company. I absolutely do. Because you guys want to be comfortable at our expense. That's not how any of this works. I said what I said. None of you, and if you really cared, you'd all be fighting and pushing on the Democrats to deliver our reparations in the trillions over multi-generations. And our Black agenda at ADOS101.com, which I will be unpacking on Friday, I do believe. You can't scream Black Lives Matter without reparations, because being poor is what makes us a target. 7 shots to the back. Mr. Blake, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, 846, you see. They're not over here in my neighborhood doing that because white folks have gentrified my neighborhood. Okay? So it's pretty peaceful on my block. But you could be totally innocent in the hood where they're not gentrified yet and lose your life just for being Black. Black on Black crime, Black on Black murder is due to lack of resources. They have nothing to live for. So I'm done doing that. And y'all need to get on board and push for reparations and push the candidates whom you love so much that give you access to citizenship over ADOS. That's who you need to get with. But it's time to break the chain. It's time to burn it to the ground. America, as we know it, must fall. And there will be casualties. So we don't advantage our children who have no wealth, while the rest of you get to be secure when we built all the wealth. Our ancestors built that on their backs. As you scream for Black Lives Matter, you need to be saying reparations matters too. And that's what you need to get fully behind. We were here before America was formed. We were here before 1619. No one should have a pathway to citizenship over the ADOS. No one. Hassan Powell. Hi, Hassan. Qualified immunity isn't even law. It absolutely must go. The killing and abuse by police won't stop until they are held responsible for their actions. She's absolutely right. Oh, I jumped. What happened? Hold on, guys. Edward, Biden had 8 years to push Obama to reform the 94 crime bill because he knew he had aspirations to be the president. He did nothing, so don't trust him now. Too late. I can't even say that any better than that, okay? Travis Johnson. Hi. Oh, Edward, thank you for joining the live. Travis Johnson, no people of color or minorities here. Absolutely. Flattening blackness has done us the hugest disservice. Remember, the census ends in September. Write in American descendant of chattel slavery for you and your children so you can be counted and we can start to get some resources funneled to the least of the blacks in this country. The immigrants are doing far better than us. Just check out my show on immigration. I will be revisiting some of those numbers with my guest, Andrea Michelle, on my Thursday show. Prayerfully, she's not so offended by my ADOS-ness that she opts to back out of that show. I pray that her feelings have been wounded by the fact that I've been riding hard for ADOS, but I don't apologize for riding hard for my group because no one, other than the ADOS movement and the people that are allies, no one else is doing it. So, yeah. That's what I'm born to do, apparently. That's why I'm doing it. Biden's mute black voices plan. Absolutely, Travis. I feel you. Angela Nirvana for ADOS president. You're like the third person that told me that, but I don't know. My challenge with running for office is I can't tell the truth anymore. I guess I could borrow a page out of Tamara Johnson Shealy's book. She's very good at fighting for reparations. And at the same time, she's fighting for reparations and a black agenda, but she's got other people included. She's very much like the Green Party. Check them out at gp.org, where and I guess I could be one of those kind of people that runs on a third party ticket of some sort. Yeah. If Angela Walker can do it as a trucker and single mom, why not? Something to think about. It keeps coming up. Hassan, we need to make the police unions pay settlements on behalf of officers, not taxpayers. She's absolutely right, family, because we get to pay twice, right? We pay their salaries and then we pay for them to murder us. Also, take the officers' pensions when a settlement has to be paid as a result of misconduct. Yes, we have got to hit the police unions in the pocket. Their dollars are what funds the brutality. We suffer. Their dollars are what funds the brutality we suffer. Defund them by making them pay for all settlements for their officers. Then you'll see police reform. She's absolutely right. My God, that I couldn't have said it better myself, Hassan. She's right. Make them pay for their government-sanctioned annihilations of the ADOS people. I bet it would stop. That's what I'm talking about, real reform. Dismantling it and starting over. Allowing the communities to choose who polices them. And don't think just because they're black that they're not black white supremacists. A lot of them hate themselves too and are doing wicked things to aid us. Denise Jarrett, expert stylist, thank you for joining the live. Thank you. So beautiful. No makeup. Oh, I can't wear makeup in this heat. But I thank you so much for that compliment. Because Lord knows, I would love to come to you guys with a beat face, but it would just be melting along with me. Thank you, my love. I appreciate that. Travis Johnson, you are that Ida B. Wells of our time. I mean it. Black Dollars University. This is a bet. You guys just making my head swell. Angela Nirvana, 2024. Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. Republicans are a waste of time. You're right, Travis. Democrats are Republicans. Republicans are Democrats. You're right. That's why ADOS says the time is now to break the back of the establishment, right? ADOS. We are here. COVID-19 is not worse than racism. That's the real pandemic. Racism is the real pandemic in this country. A song called Demand Jim Crow Joe Fight the Police Unions to pay out the settlements. Absolutely. If he had a son's policies within this chat on his platform, he'd get my vote. Yes, thank you for texting me, Jewel. Love you, sis. The black boy, hit the thumbs up button. Yes. Thank you. Yes, hit the like button, family. Join me over at YouTube because Facebook doesn't like me. It won't even let me fundraise for Mr. Blake, Jacob Blake. They won't even let me fundraise. Well, I'm going to continue to serve that TR roof. You hear me? Green Party 2020 at the top. Yep, that's me. You go, girl. Me too. Gridlock. Shut it down. Let them hug it out the next 4 years. Perhaps they'll come to the table with reparations. And if they don't, wash, rinse, repeat. We have to break this lesser to evil two-step shuffle. It's got to be done in this election cycle. Reparations matter. Yes, Travis. Black Outcast Media Broadcasting. What's up, fam? Thank you for joining the live. No apologies for riding your tribe. Riding for your tribe, sis. Absolutely not an ounce of regret. Oh, I love us so. Travis says, run for president. All they do is dig up these videos, child. My campaign would be one and done. You understand? All skin folk ain't kin folk. Sandra and 6690, thank you for joining the live. Preach, sis. Yes. Travis, with all of their power, why hasn't justice been had for Breonna Taylor, Jim Crow Joe Biden? Nothing has really slowed down for them, family, in terms of executing us since George Floyd 846 to the neck. I would vote for this woman if she ran for Congress. Oh, bless you, my love. Bless you, bless you, bless you. I may have to run because I'm getting it from everywhere, and why not? If Trump can get elected, why not Angela Nirvana? I don't know. I just want to be able to tell the truth and help my people become more politically educated. I was inspired by the beautiful Yvette Carnell to help, and there's so many awesome ADOS shows. Be the Power, the 13%. Rita Forte goes live sometime. California goes live. It's just everywhere. ADOS LA goes live. It's rich, family. We've got some powerhouses in this movement. Join us. If you're not picking up bricks, consider joining the movement. We need all hands on deck. Consider looking at the Green Party for top of ticket and help us gridlock the government. We know that the Green Party won't win, but we're trying to get them 5% so they can get funds to be represented on the tickets on the ballots in every state. Look at their humane platform, family. It is just everything. If I were to run for office, I'd run under the Green Party. I would. Thank you for being you. Oh, Travis says I'm her campaign manager. Hands off, everyone. I'm selfish. Oh, y'all just, oh, Lord, my hand's not going to be able to fit through the door. All this love. You know what? I receive your love and I return it 1,000,000-fold. Yes, I do. And with that said, family, I'm at 1:10. I want to get you guys out of here so you'll tune in tomorrow. You better read your book. You better be read tomorrow. Presidential. Okay. We got Thomas Jefferson and who else is up? I got 2 presidents I'm covering tomorrow. Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Get your book, family. It's a very easy read. You can read it right before the show, but at least we can have an exchange. Otherwise, I'm going to have to read to you again like story time. Is that what y'all want? Okay. All right, family. With that said, let me pray my prayer of protection over you because you know I'm a very spiritual woman. And the God in me salutes the God in you. You are the face of God. Let me do the whole thing. Okay, if you don't like prayer, you better exit the building because I always believe in prayer. I believe in covering my ADOS family, whom I love all over the country, all over the world, our ADOS and allies. And it goes a little something like this. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever ADOS and its allies are, God truly is. Because why, family? You are the face of God. You are the voice of God. You are the body temple of the Spirit of the living God. Until tomorrow, family, you go out here in this world and act like you know who you are, and you make it a beautiful, God-inspired rest of your evening. I love you, Black. I love you, strong. Peace.